It's been a busy 2 weeks on the road with Dr. Najat Saliba and I, advocating on how the systemic corruption riddling Lebanon's public sector, including the government and all the institutions, is causing major human rights issues and impacting the foundations of democracy in Lebanon. Starting in Geneva and continuing to here, New York and the United Nations headquarters, which you can see behind me, we had countless meetings with UN officials, lawmakers and institutional leaders in an effort to get Lebanon back on the global agenda. Our off-the-record meetings in both cities included discussions on how to get justice for the August 4 Port Blast victims and their families, because while this injustice continues, there can be no justice for any Lebanese. And meeting with His Excellency Australian Ambassador Jeff Roach to show our gratitude to the Australian mission in Geneva and Her Excellency Ambassador Gawley for their unprecedented 5-month-long effort to rally 33 nation-states to sign a collective statement delivered by Ambassador Gawley at the United Nations Human Rights Council in March, calling on the Lebanese government to restart the investigation into the blast so justice could prevail, was one of the most important meetings we held to understand how we move this to the next level and try to get a resolution for a fact-finding mission to be endorsed by the Council. This is the hope and desire of all the families of the victims of August 4 and all those helping them, including Malham Khalaf and his team of lawyers who represent around 1,400 people impacted by the blast. In addition, Dr. Saliba presented the desperate situation facing all Lebanese citizens due to the compounding effect of the Lebanese leaders' failure to meet the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which is a direct violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, of which Lebanon is a signatory.
We believe in the rights for humans to live in dignity and to have a dream. I cannot see the youth of my country running after their daily needs without being able to dream. And that's not true. And the reason why I was able to come to where I am today and do what I did, it's because since I was a kid, I never took a no for an answer.
Most profoundly, these officials were shocked to learn about the collapse of the education system in Lebanon. Once the jewel crown of the country, with people from all across the Middle East sending their children to study in Lebanon's globally recognized institutions. Today, more than 350,000 Lebanese children find themselves on the streets, unable to attend school because the government won't apportion appropriate funding to pay teachers to be able to even cover their transport costs to get to schools to teach their students. Dr. Saliba's meeting with the Assistant Secretary General Khalid Khiyari was sobering, to say the least. And he told her that if the situation was not addressed soon, it could be irreversible.
The Assistant Secretary General, Dr. Khiyari, was very shocked when he heard about the numbers and how much there is poverty, there is lack of education, lack of healthcare, environmental degradations and others. And he was so worried, and he said that with those numbers, it's very, very risky that we would go down a road that is irreversible. And this is very alarming, and he promised that he's gonna follow up closely, and hopefully those numbers will feature in the Security Council report at the end of next month.
Other meetings involved discussions on climate change, the environment, and how to introduce a circular green economy into Lebanon to rescue the environment. Dr. Saliba's 2 presentations at both the UN WIPO Conference in Geneva and the STI Conference at the UN in New York brought more broader global attention to the issues confronting Lebanon, raising eyebrows and interest in Lebanon that many nations were completely unaware of.
I want to talk about Geneva first. It was mostly focusing on human rights, the human rights of people to have, a dignified life. That's very, very important. This means that they have access to education, they have access to healthcare, they have access to clean food and clean environment. It was very, very important that we get the United Nations, first of all, to know about the numbers, and second of all, to get their support to mobilize member states and chiefs and officials in United Nations to actually support us in our mission to protect and defend human rights in Lebanon. This is going to be our focus in the very next future.
What this trip has highlighted to both of us is the importance of continuing to lobby and advocate globally, and the need to do the hard yards. We need to prepare factual evidence and reports that can be digested and accepted by UN member states and lawmakers in order to make the Lebanese government accountable for its failure towards its own people. But we're going to need more help and more people to get this work done. So if you want to help, please send me a direct message or an email to the email on your screen below so we can build a global team of activists for Lebanon. What gave me great hope was the genuine desire by officials to help us and to help Lebanon, and to teach us how to navigate the UN and use its systems and processes to get help for Lebanon and get it back on the global agenda and get action. As I mentioned, there is much work ahead of us, but based on the reactions by the members of the Lebanese diaspora we met with, the intimate discussions in both New York and Geneva, we are confident there are more than enough people who care about saving Lebanon to allow us to join hands and forces to get the work done and continue efforts to achieve justice and reclaim our country.
We met with the diaspora in Geneva. We also met with a group here in New York. It was very, very heartwarming. People are still excited about doing something for Lebanon. They are very, enthusiastic, and we will be working together towards common goals, definitely.
Thanks for joining me, and I encourage you to share this video to broaden our message throughout our Lebanese diaspora and the world, so we stay informed, engaged, and mobilized. Cheers, and signing off now from New York.